Whoa, what a speech. What a speech. Kamla Persaud will go down in history as the Joan of Arc of Caribbean politicians. She pretty much handed it to the rest of these Caribbean leaders. Mia Mottley, with her pandering speeches and her campaign for job post politics, cannot even walk in Kamla Persaud's shoe. Now there is a real Caribbean leader who is smart and understands geopolitics and knows how to navigate in the middle of global tensions. Hopefully, these politicians throughout the Caribbean, especially in Dominica and Grenada, will take a page of the understanding of diplomacy and tact from Kamla Persaud's book. She has put these guys to shame. Well done, Kamla. Well done.
CARICOM members, with respect to your choice for national security for your nation and respect to your choice for foreign policy, we respect that sovereignty and we expect no less from others. We took very careful note of what happened in the CARICOM in 2025 when my government chose to lend support then to the Nicolas Maduro regime, and despite repeated threats against two fellow CARICOM members from Venezuela, most of the CARICOM stood against the two. Only two were threatened. One was Guyana, still under threat. I openly said that if they touched Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago will be there with you and stand with you. And the other was Trinidad and Tobago. We are threatened, and we are still threatened by Venezuela. I'll say a little more about that in a moment. So how could the CARICOM be a zone of peace when a narco-dictator who imprisoned and killed thousands of civilians and opposition members? You will see recently over 300 persons from the opposition in Venezuela have been released. They were in prison because of politics. So how can it be when that regime was threatening violence to two CARICOM member states, there was no voice from the CARICOM? We were talking about a zone of peace. And in my respectful view, my country is not a zone of peace. It was dubbed a public health issue. It's not a public health issue. Because of the crime, you're not alive to get any public health. You're dead. That's what the crime is like. So don't talk to me about a zone of peace when I will tell you Trinidad and Tobago, 1.4 million people. We recorded 623 murders in 1 year, in 2024. And 40% of those murders, they were gang-related, driven by narcotics, by firearms smuggled in from Venezuela, and gangs coming out of Venezuela and mingling and mixing with gangs in Trinidad. In 2025, change of government, change of policy to treat with the drug cartels and the gangs as violent terrorist organizations, military action by the American military in the Caribbean caused, you know what happened in our country? Caused our murder rate to decrease by 42%. You know what that meant? There were 257 less murders in T&T. I can say thanks again to President Trump. And thanks again to Secretary Rubio, Marco Rubio. I thank them and the U.S. military for the cooperation and what they shared with us for national security matters. Maybe in your islands you don't have the kind of crime we have. I know Prime Minister Housen, as we tried to pass the Oswald bill in Trinidad, we were not as fortunate as you in the Parliament, but I know you have done well with your murder rate. So some of us, the crime is so bad. I cannot depend on just my military, my protective services, and certainly from you in the CARICOM, many of you do not have military or large police services to help us down there. So again, I repeat, you know, in Trinidad there's a saying, who vexed lost? But we gained from the help, I'm saying, that military help, and I will welcome them again.